Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Good morning. Hey. Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm so glad you're joining me this morning. It's just a hot mess, isn't it? It's just a hot mess. Oh my goodness. My feed continues to be all about fraud. And, you know, I get it. I mean, this is very upsetting to a lot of people. And it's upsetting to me, and it's probably upsetting to you. But like we know, right? Like we know that this stuff has been going on for like a really long time. And it feels like some people are just discovering that, and not only just discovering it, but also they think that maybe this is an isolated event. And as we talked about yesterday, I'm like, yeah, this is like so not an isolated event, right? Like this, I can't look anywhere that there isn't fraud, you know? And so I'm just curious, why is this particular story just like sucking all of the air out of the room? And so I've been like just creeping around trying to figure out like what else is going on. Well, of course, we have a lot of stuff about Epstein that's swirling around. And then we have this stuff with Candace Owens, which is also swirling around. And I don't know what is going on there. It is pretty crazy. But I want to bring you a little bit more clarity today. I want to bring you a little bit more clarity because, when I first started doing what I'm doing now, like 6 years ago, I was just, doing it for myself to kind of like, bring more purpose to what I was doing. I was passionate about natural health. I'm watching everybody get on drugs and, go through the allopathic model. I'm just like, oh my gosh, the people need to know that there's more solutions out there than they're being told. And that's originally why I started. I thought I'd do this podcast. Maybe my friends and my family would listen to it. And, maybe they could get something out of it without me having to be like so preachy, right? Like, hey, did you know this or that? Because that can be, tough. People don't necessarily want to take your advice when they're close to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure many of you can relate because we talk about it all the time in assessments. It's like, oh yeah, my sister wouldn't listen. My dad wouldn't listen. So I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. So I thought, I'll just put these little podcasts out and, maybe they'll listen and maybe it'll resonate with people. But I had no idea what I was getting into. And honestly, I probably still don't. You say, what? She's in podcasting. How could she not know about algorithms and technology and all that? Yeah, I don't. I don't know anything about that stuff because I really don't care. I've said it a million times, I'm an analog girl living in a digital world and it is tough. I love the fact that I get to do this, that I have this medium to express and to, fulfill purpose in my life because I love doing this. But I don't know much about it. I know. And maybe you can tell by the views on my YouTube channel. So it's been like, I'll just tell you, I have to say this though. I know nothing about it, but Jason knows a lot about it. And he's worked incredibly hard. And this has been such a painstaking labor of love for us both. But, he understands how it works. However, how it works is like if you're not part of the pay to play gang, if you aren't showing up and paying to play, paying to get, views, paying for followers, paying to be in people's networks and stuff, well, there's not a lot you can do, and these people, this is big money. Influence, building a platform is big money. And so a guy named Ryan Mata, I don't know if you follow him, he has been doing a lot of investigating alongside sort of Candace Owens, just like looking into things and posting and creating some pretty, valuable content. And he did a great video today. And it's a little long, but be patient with me. We split it up. But I think it's really important because he taught me some things I did not know about the pay. I knew it was pay to play. I'm always telling you that, like, if this is pay to play, there is no really organic reach. The algorithms are controlled. This is why I say that the algorithm is capturing people's consciousness, because it quite literally is. They are shaping culture, right? This is culture control. That's why the top topic of the show is always about culture control, because it's very easy once you identify the patterns to see what's going on here and what they want you looking at. And it's no different with this whole thing that's going on right now. Fraud, pay attention to fraud, pay attention to fraud. Yeah, we've known about fraud. We know. And yes, it's outrage. What are you going to do about it? Then you might get our attention, do some perp walks or whatever you call them, put some people in some handcuffs or something. You want our attention? Do something. Otherwise, it's all just, look at this. And I'm tired of looking at it. Because all it does is aggravate me, And I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people really mad, and rightfully so. Like, we're out here trying to do the right things, and we have jobs, businesses. We're trying to do the right, bring purpose to the world and stuff. And then you got these Somali daycare runners earning millions, right? It's a little annoying, isn't it? Especially when we have to be coming up at the end of the year paying our taxes. Nobody wants to pay them. Imagine that. Anyway, let's get to these clips because I think you'll find them fascinating. Again, this is Ryan Mata. Take a listen.
I have these things which are called clipping sites. So a clipping site will basically, and I'm going to give you the rundown because I kind of made a slide to actually break it down, but these sites out there, some are anybody can join, and then some are invite only. So this is how the PACs use, and they basically hide behind these sites, and they use these sites to directly pay influencers to do work on behalf of a political opponent without actually having to report it. So this is how they're like adding that middleman in the barrier, and why it's so hard to determine who's paying who and how they're getting paid. So let me explain this to you. This little slide, right? So let's just say they have a bounty. Let's just say I want to put out I want to put a $50,000 bounty out, and I'm willing to pay $10 per 100,000 views. Now you don't have to get 100,000 views to earn $10. You could get 10,000 views and you could earn $1, right? Because all the accounts are different, and you want as many accounts as humanly possible, basically competing to earn their share of the 50,000. So along with the bounty, this is the actual job itself, will have requirements. So the requirements for this specific job that I just made up would be a 39 to 90 second video attacking Candace Owens. The keywords that you need to put in the actual title of the post: Candace Owens lied about Erica Kirk. Now I could go on and say Candace Owens is crazy and she lied about Erica Kirk. I don't have to put keyword word for word, but those specific keywords have to be used for my tweet to actually be eligible to earn a percentage of this bounty, right? And then the platforms that I need to post it on can be X, IG, TikTok, YouTube. Now, if I post the same video and I post it on X and IG, I'm gonna get 2 links, right? So each one of those videos is gonna be earning its portion. It's not combined. It'll be on each. So if you post to IG, TikTok, YouTube, and on each platform you get 1 million views, or let's just say each platform you get 100,000 views, then you'd earn $40, $10 per 100,000 views, okay? And then, so what does that get? Like, why are people incentivized to do that? So let me just break this down. If you put a $50,000 bounty and you're paying $10, right, per 100,000 views, you could 10 divided by 50,000 is 5,000. 5,000 times 100,000 gives you 500 million views total. Now, if nobody earns that bounty will stay open. So sometimes you'll see like a job, it'll say bounty slash, 25,000 remaining or 4,000 remaining or whatever the amount of remaining money is. And the job, I didn't put the date up there, but let's just say that was posted a month.
Okay. So are you like, when I first watched this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this. I did not know this. Like I saw that, specific influencers, I like that Ryan calls them White House water boys. I like that because they carry water for the White House, clearly. You know the people I'm talking about. They're always in my feed, you guys. They're always in my feed. I don't even follow them. Some of them now I have blocked because it just feels so disingenuous to be a paid influencer to push curated stories out into the public. I don't like it. It's one thing if you have full disclosure and you say, like, this is what I do, and these are the stories that I am covering, not because I'm interested in them, but because somebody gives me my marching orders. That's one thing. I'm totally fine with that. As long as you're transparent, it's a free country, like, sure. But this deceptiveness bothers me. Because why am I seeing these people in my feed all the time? Where did they come from? Like, who ever heard of these people? That was my initial thought when I started getting bombarded with all of these influencer tweets and Instagram posts and, whatever, YouTube videos. I'm like, who is this? I don't even follow these people. Why do I have to see their stuff all the time? Well, it makes sense. So they join a platform, and I would assume you have to pay to join the platform in some cases. You probably have to have a certain amount of followers because in order to be, influential, you have to have a certain amount of followers. But you can also buy followers, right? So you don't even have to have like legitimate followers. And trust me, I know this for a fact because I've had people in my greater sphere that I've worked with that have been part of my summit or what have you, where I have seen, that they go from say 500 followers to like 20,000 followers, like in a couple days. So I know even your average person buys followers. Hold up, because there's so much more to this that I think you're going to be interested in. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. We'll be right back.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Welcome back. Hey, 3 days left. Can you believe it? Just a few days here, 3 days left in 2025. And that means probably 3 days left of the buy one, get one December specials. Now, I don't know because it's while supplies last, but I do know they've pulled some things off of the buy one, get one because they're either sold out or they're no longer available for buy one, get one. So if you've been thinking about getting the collagen at all, you got to do it now because I don't know what's going to happen in January. So head on over to naturallyinspiredstore.com. You can get the collagen. Put 2 in your cart. And 1 will zero out for free for the buy one, get one deal. And there's over 30 products on there. So, we need tools in wellness on our optimum health journey. We need tools. So what a great time to stock up on all kinds of things. That collagen, however, is my favorite product. It really is. Everybody needs it. And it is so special because it's low molecular weight. You take 1 tablespoon in the morning. If you're on a double dose, you take another one before bed. And I tell you, just text me and tell me your story because their stories come in all the time about improvements in skin, mobility, knees, hips, shoulders, gut, hair, skin, you name it. We need collagen. And this is the very best, in my opinion, on the market. So head on over there. If you have any questions, just text me, 720-303-8868. Probably only a couple of days left. So naturallyinspiredstore.com. Pick yourself up some collagen. All right. So they're on this platform. Okay. And anybody, so this is the racket, you guys. There's always a middleman because if they can water down the, who's doing what, the less traceable things are, the better. And so these platforms, the Clips platforms, they facilitate these bounties, right? We want to control the algorithm with terrible stories about Candace Owens, say, just for example. And so who's going to sign up to do that? Well, I've got 20,000 followers. Well, I've got 100,000 followers. Well, I've got 500,000 followers. Well, I've got 1 million followers. And so they get their marching orders and they hit the streets, the digital streets, right? And they start talking smack about whoever needs to be taken down. Now, that makes me wonder, like, clearly, like this kid, Shirley, who posted the Somalia story, he did a great job. Like, I'm not taking anything away from a 23-year-old kid. This is awesome. This is great. Like, yay. But also, there's been a lot of people that have been doing this type of thing, this like, boots on the ground journalism. One in particular I played yesterday out of San Diego. He's been posting a long time about the fraud and stuff that goes on in San Diego. And so, who knows what the conditions are, but like it makes you wonder, how did this thing go viral? I feel like, somebody gets picked, so we're just like pick this person to release all this stuff, which is whatever, But anyway, it just helps me understand why things get the exposure that they do. So here's part 2. Again, this is Ryan Mata explaining how the whole thing works. Take a listen.
That might be an old job, but something might start trending or going viral. Like Candace might put out a new video and you go back in there like, oh shit, nobody's actually competing for that. Oh, I'm going to, take a stab at it and I'm going to try to earn my percentage of that bounty. And so what it looks like is basically you have your bounty, which is the job, attack Candace Owens. You submit your link here. And then once you submit your link there, it'll attach it to basically like your profile and you'll have like a scrolling percentage counter. So it might be like like the minimum might be 1,000 views. So every 1,000 views you earn 10 cents or whatever the equation is, right? And then you won't see it, but there's just like everybody, like this person, let's just say they put out 50,000 views, they get $5, 100,000 views get $10, $5, $10, 10 million views get you $1,000, 100K views, 20 million views get you $2,000. And then you just basically will have a running total on that bounty. It'll say like 39,000 left, 10,000 left, $5,000 left. And then once it runs out, you're done, right? So once the bounty bottoms out, so that's why, if you're doing this, you probably if there's only like $1,000 remaining of that bounty, you might not want to create a video because if your video gets 1 million views, you're only going to earn, so like you put out a video, gets 10 million views and there's only $1,000 left in that bounty, you're only going to get paid for the first, million views because once that caps out, you're done. There's no additional payouts after the bounty ends. So it's first come, first serve. And that's how these sites work. And I made a video that actually, so if you just search on Grok and you say, Grok, what are the best clipping sites for influencers? It'll pull up a list like the top 5 or 10. And there's not a ton of them out there, but those are just the public ones that we know about. That doesn't include the ones that like if I was APAC, I would almost guarantee has their own version of this that's invite only, right? So when Israel wants to make something trend, you just put up a bounty, and when you put up the bounty, if you're like logged into your app or you have the app on your phone or you're using any one of these sophisticated platforms, it most likely sends you a text message. Or you submit your number because it's such a small group of people, and all of a sudden 100 people get a text message that says, boop, new bounty position, new bounty, click the link to see. New $50,000 bounty up, and they probably click the link and it shoots them right over to the website and they're like, oh, here's the job, here's the description. That's how it's so timed out, right? That's why when you see people, I don't want to use any names because I don't want to get any lawsuits, but the White House water boys, on how one person will tweet and then it's all of them are tweeting almost the exact same thing, similar keywords, similar topics, using similar photos, right? And we could take it a step further, right? Let's go back over here. All right. Requirements could be you have to use this photo, right? So in the video, they want you to use this photo. Or it could just be a word tweet. It could be word or video. It could be anything, right? The requirements can be anything, and they could provide you any type of requirements they want. So you got to use this video. You got to use these keywords. It has to be this length. Anything that you got, this could be you have to use this as a cover photo, whatever the case may be. This is how the game's played, guys. So just hopefully you guys
Isn't that something, right? Because it makes you really think now, we really need a distinction between journalists, I feel like, and influencers, right? Because God, I've always kind of hated that word influencer, especially when people go around and say I'm an influencer. Oh, are you? Like, I don't know. I just don't like it. It just like who you influencing, you know? To me, I think it's kind of a dirty word now. When you understand how it works, it's kind of a dirty word, right? When you're an influencer, it kind of implies, well, you're out there every morning on these clip websites just trying to say, whoa, whose life can I ruin today? You know, that's not journalism, right? That's not like following a story or, you know, disseminating information that's valuable to people to try to improve the world. It feels like influencing is more like spreading crap that ruins people's lives for the benefit of some unknown entity. And that all of a sudden doesn't seem too glamorous, does it? And just think about it. You know, all you have to do is have an account that has a lot of followers. And so, you know, who knows who's operating some of these influencer accounts. I remember when, you know, I got booted off of X or Twitter. I got booted off of Twitter. I didn't get booted off of X because once Elon took over X, I actually got some traction back on my X account. But prior to that, I did get kicked off of Twitter or banned from Twitter for a while. And I remember going back on, and I'd never really been one that spent a lot of time on X or Twitter. I never spent any time on there, actually. But, you know, when I lost Facebook and I lost Instagram, and I was allowed back on, X was the first platform I was allowed back on. And I saw all these names. You know, there was a couple of brothers there, you know who I'm talking about. Maybe if you're an X follower, a couple of tiny little brothers that had very loud voices on Twitter. And then there was a couple other people. When I first got back on there, I'm like, I have never heard of these people. And they were just like pervasive, you know, they were just like everywhere. They were holding Twitter spaces. Remember when those were really popular, and just dominating, you know, just dominating. I thought, wow, you know, I had just no idea who these people were. And so it kind of just makes things make more sense when you understand how this game works. But it's interesting because you got to think about like you could just have an account with a ton of followers on it, and you go out bidding every morning these bounties. You make a little sloppy video and you post it, and ding, 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 you get paid. And then the next day you're on to a next one. But it's interesting because they almost have teams of influencers, right? Because Ryan points out here is absolutely right. You see these influencers posting the same content, similar looking thumbnails, you know, similar video. The verbiage is the same. Like, okay, this is worse than network TV, you guys. Because on network TV, you know, people tuned in and they watched a show, and it was like one centralized kind of hub. And, you know, that's where you saw it. Now it's like everywhere. It'll be on TikTok. It'll be on Instagram. And, you know, it's not even true. It's not even true a lot of the times. Like some of these videos that, you know, I'm watching, I'm like, I know for a fact that is not true. That is not true. It has become so difficult to distinguish fact from fiction. Almost impossible. And yet, you know, the machine keeps going. And it's truly all really a pay-to-play game. So when you're taking in this information, we have to keep that in mind. You know, who's paying for this and why? Because who does it benefit? Like, if it's tearing our country apart because she said this and I'm listening to these influencers and they're carrying this story and these influencers are carrying this, and then it creates division between us. And we need each other. We need each other. We need to be unified right now for freedom and to save our country. So it's just crazy out there, you guys. Just crazy. Stay tuned. This is Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert Garcia, and I'm so glad you're here. We'll be right back.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Pick up your wellness products with us. When you do, you get to become a part of the Naturally Inspired community. You get my health text line, you get our Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops, and so much more. So head on over there to naturallyinspiredstore.com. Pick up all your wellness products for the new year, getting started off on the right foot for optimum health. I guess my concern about all of this, well, there's a lot of concerns about it, right? Because it truly is controlling the culture, right? We're controlling the culture. And we've lost a lot. We've lost a lot. And yesterday I was telling you, I've been listening to Tim Dillon quite a bit just because he's a comedian. And he brings a funny take to what's truly going on in the world. And a lot of times when things get so crazy, you want to be able to identify the truth, go to the artists, because the artists are the ones that can get away with telling the truth. And it's true because it'll make you laugh, because they're like, oh, he's spot on with that. So over the weekend, I had listened to Tim Dillon's podcast on my run, and there was just some really good points here that I wanted to bring and share with you today. So let's check out part 1 here. This is Tim Dillon.
Kash Patel, the FBI director, is sitting there updating you on his girlfriend's country music tour. It's hell. It's absolutely hell. And Erica Kirk, God bless, tragic, and I'm sorry for what happened, but nobody knows why she's out there in a glittering pantsuit in a recreated tent that her husband tragically was murdered in, throwing merch out. She's out there talking to Nicki Minaj. People are confused. What's going on? Those are the 3 words that sum up this whole entire mess that we've created for ourselves. What is business anymore? It's like, fake. Everybody online is trying to make as much money as they can in any way they can, crypto or drop shipping or bullshit or looks maxing. They're smashing hammers into their face to give them a better chance to fuck a hotter girl. They're trying to make more money so that they can compete in the mating game.
Sorry about the F-bomb there. We'll have to bleep that out. But isn't it so true? I'm like, yes, I'm running when I'm listening to this, and I'm like, yes, Tim's nailing it. Like, this is precisely what I've been saying. Like, what are we doing here? This is Gong Show. Do you guys remember the Gong Show? Dong! Like, this is Gong Show. We have reached peak Gong Show. Like, Erica's lost her husband. I don't want to make light of that at all, but like, come on. This is bizarro land, right? We're shooting fireworks off from stages and, rallying for J.D. Vance for president. And I was just thinking about that, while I was running. I was like, what would I do? Like, if that was my husband, what would I do? And I'd be out of that disgusting game. Like, if that game, that dirty, disgusting, mafioso, gangster lifestyle of politics took my husband's life, I'd be like, yeah, we're closing up shop. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. This does not matter. You know what matters? My children's lives. But that's just me, right? And I get everybody grieves differently. Like, I know that's like an oversaid statement lately. But can we all just just acknowledge how strange of a world that we're living in? Like, it's a very strange, right? Very strange. And I think the reason is because we've lost the grasp on what is truly important in life. And it's obvious as to why, because the things that we know to be truly important, like life, health, we've distanced ourselves from them. Tim explains in this part of the clip too. Let's see part 2 here.
In an overpriced city and buy their girlfriend boots. I mean, nobody's having children. People are just sitting around and, trying to, identify with like some weird movement. I mean, like, Wicked's probably a fine movie. I don't see it. I don't care. But like, everyone needs to chill the fuck out and relax. What's the big deal here? Like, people are making everything into some meaningful moment. And it's not. It shouldn't be. It's a profoundly unhealthy society that we've created. It really is. I just, when you look at it from the outside, all of these people, it's not even political, by the way. It's not like I'm telling you like, they're wrong or they're right or they're going to fix it. I've never really done that on this show. But like, when you look at the society that we're living in, for example, the last 2 weeks, people are screaming about Somalia. Nobody even knows what's happening. People are either like, Somalis are the best part of this country. What? What? Nobody, even no one? I'm not saying anything bad about them, but like, what is that reaction? And then there's the reaction of like, they're the greatest threat that we've ever faced. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. How about that there's like some scheme, some fraud, some scam that we need to get to the bottom of? Maybe we're just letting too many people into the country. And maybe those people are going to eventually be desperate, like the people that currently live here, okay? And maybe those people are going to turn to some type of fraud or crime. It's like completely natural and normal. But like, every reaction to everything is so dialed up, insane, crazy.
And that's because whatever focal point story is being launched through the Clips platform and all the influencers, that's all we see. It's got all the focus. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Of course, like, we have to root out this fraud, but like, this is not a new thing. Some of these businesses have been around like for a long time now. And, we're well aware of Doge and all of that, right? But here's the thing. The important thing that he's talking about here is that, like, people are focused on making a big deal out of everything. Why? Because they don't have what is important as a part of their lives anymore. So if everything matters, then nothing matters. They're not, like he said, they're not having kids. They're not building truly meaningful relationships. These relationships where they're built off of, these dating apps or whatever. It's all surface stuff. How much money do you make? What do you look like? Like, okay, I'm dating you. Now next dating, it's always like, what can I get that's better? They're not sinking into anything substantial and trying to build something. Because when you're building something, you're busy. And these people are not busy. You know, shopping for the latest and greatest boots is not busy. Right? That's distracting. And a lot of people are distracted. It's too much focus on self. Okay. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with this campaign of self-care that was launched many years ago. Self-care. It's all about self-care. You've got to practice self-care. Yeah, too much self now. We need to stop that, you know. You have to take care of yourself. Totally. I get that, you know, but also focus on something other than yourself, because they're becoming obsessed with self and stuff. And, you know, stuff has become identity. So it's a lot of focus on self, how I feel, how my feelings, this is what I, you know, me. And then it's about how much stuff I can accumulate. And then that stuff becomes my identity. This is who I am in the world if I have this purse. This is who I am in the world if I can buy this car. This is who I am in the world if I can take this trip, you know? And that's weird. That's just weird, okay? Like, okay, I have a goat. This is who I am. Like, I have cows. Is this who I am? You know, like, it's just bizarre. Okay. We should be nurturing labels like mom, dad, sister, brother, friend, community. What's important? My work's important. I help people. My purpose is important. What I'm creating is important, because what I create can impact other people and inspire other people. These are the things that make up a meaningful existence on this planet. And somehow, you know, I just kept thinking today about that clip I played yesterday with that sweet little girl, you know, when the guy was on the street was asking, like, what about American culture? How do you define American culture? And, you know, there was middle-aged people and, you know, I define it this way, freedom, blah, blah, blah. And then we get to this sweet little girl and she's asked, you know, what do you think of American culture? And she says, well, in my age, it's all about social media and looking pretty. And there's a lot of pressure to look pretty. Yeah, we're failing. We're failing the kids here. That's not what American culture is about at all. You know that. I know that. But somehow we've allowed a lot of things to be lost. And that is heartbreaking. Because those things don't matter at all. You know, who cares? Who cares about that stuff anymore? Like, it's so fake and gross. Everything is so curated. You're going to this restaurant. You're going to that restaurant. I got this purse. Like, who cares about your stuff? I don't care. I don't care about your stuff. Tell me your story. Tell me what you've learned through your life experience. How do we get back to that? Well, I have some ideas. The Naturally Inspired Moment is coming up next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that nearly 70% of Americans struggle with their health every single day? That's why we are reaching out to health professionals and to anyone who simply has a heart for helping people. Right now, there's an opportunity to make a real difference in people's lives while building a flexible income stream for yourself. Whether you're already working in health, wellness, or just passionate about seeing people thrive, we want to connect with you and introduce you to our system. Together, we can provide real solutions that empower people to take control of their health and create lasting impact. If you've been looking for a way to combine purpose with income, this is it. Visit simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. That's simplehealthincome.com or text 720-764-7448. We look forward to working with you.
If you're looking for health and help on your optimum health journey, join us in the Naturally Inspired community. Here's what you get when you become a customer of Naturally Inspired, meaning you buy your wellness products with us at naturallyinspiredstore.com. You get all my coaching for free. So you get my health text line, communication line open. You get priority access on that. You get our Tuesday night weekly wellness workshops. We're not doing one this week because of the holiday, but we'll pick it back up the following Tuesday, next Tuesday. So that you get that where I talk about a health topic, and then we do question and answer. You get 15% off all your wellness products. You get community. You get community and so much more. And we have some exciting stuff coming up in the new year. We're always adding to the Naturally Inspired community because this is what we love to do here. And it's growing and it's very exciting. We want you to be a part of it. So if you have questions, just text me, 720-303-8868. Otherwise, you can go to naturallyinspiredstore.com, book your free 30-minute assessment with me. We'll have a little chat. We'll talk about some things, and then we'll get you plugged into the Naturally Inspired community. So book today at naturallyinspiredstore.com, or if you have questions, text me directly, 720-303-8868. And it is me. It's not a chat bot or anything like that. Okay, let's get to the Naturally Inspired moment. Today's Naturally Inspired moment is the art of not caring too much. Yeah. There is such a thing as caring too much. I hear it all the time. We're worried about this. We're worried about that. We're worried about this person. We're worried, very worried about our future and where we're going to be in it, or we're worried about the past. And I just thought, there's an art to not caring. And that doesn't mean that, you're not an empathetic person or that you don't care at all. There's just this kind of tipping point where I think people can care too much about things that are out of their control. And that ends up kind of hijacking their own life and their own goals. So people get stuck caring too much about things they can't control, not because they're weak, but because the brain is trying and failing to keep them safe. Here's what's really happening psychologically, neurologically, and culturally. Number one, the brain confuses awareness with control. So the human brain evolved to scan for threats. Where's the danger? Where's the danger? When something feels uncertain or dangerous, the brain believes, if I think about this enough, I can prevent the harm. Wrong. But thinking does not equal control, right? It does not. So people loop. They look at the news, they worry, they mentally rehearse what they're going to do. They get kind of temporary relief, but then they go back to the news again and the cycle starts over. This creates the illusion of control, even when no real action is possible. Number two, fear activates the amygdala, not logic. When people fixate on uncontrollable events, politics, global crisis, other people's behavior, systems they don't influence, they're often in a chronic fight or flight state. In this state, the amygdala drives attention. The prefrontal cortex, reason and planning, goes offline, and emotional reactions override discernment. The brain chooses vigilance over progress. Number three, dopamine. We've talked a lot about this. Dopamine reward loops keep the pattern alive. Outrage, fear, being right, releases dopamine. And each time someone checks updates or engages in arguments or consumes alarming content, the brain gets a small little reward. Even negative emotion can be chemically reinforcing, which is why people feel addicted to stress. I think everybody knows somebody that's like that. Somebody in your office maybe, or maybe even somebody in your family that just can't get away from feeling stressed, even when things are good. Number 4, identity gets tied to concern. So many people unconsciously link caring with being moral, being intelligent, being informed, being a good person. So letting go of caring too much feels like indifference, abandonment of your values, or even loss of identity. In reality, constant concern does not equal contribution, right? Number 5, focusing outward avoids personal responsibility. So caring excessively about external chaos can be a distraction from your internal work, right? So this is so important. This is hard. This is very hard, you got to build routines, to moderate stress, to take care of your health, to eat well, and all of these things that we commit to ourselves because we want to feel good. And, we want to be there and show up for our families and whatnot. But this stuff can get very distracting, and it's easy to let it lead you away from that internal work that we should all be doing. Uncontrollable focus keeps the ego safe, but life stagnant, right? So you feel like you're doing something, but you're not getting the results in reality. Culture rewards reactivity. Modern culture, you can monetize attention. What we just talked about, right, with these platforms. You can amplify fear in other people, which gives you a little bit of power. It encourages constant opinion. People are praised for reacting, not for building quietly. This trains people to feel important when they're upset, even if nothing improves or they don't do anything about it. Like I said, okay, fraud. What you gonna do about it? Call me when you do something, will ya? Call me when you do something. I'll give you a pat on the back, because I'm tired. I am tired of it. Okay, so what's the positive stuff, right? Let's talk about that. Get back to my list here. Number 1, okay? Here's what you can do to change this. It's an art. The art of not caring too much. Number 1, it hands your power to other people when you do it. So when you care too much about approval, opinions, validations, you actually let others decide how you feel and act. Progress requires self-trust, not consensus. Okay? So be aware of that. You actually hand your power over to other people when you care too much. It creates emotional paralysis. Overcaring leads to overthinking, second guessing, fear of making the wrong move, and you get stuck refining instead of executing. Momentum beats perfection every time. Get moving, right? Get working. Number 3, it disconnects you from your intuition. So caring too much about something can disconnect you from those internal signals. Your intuition speaks softly, and overcaring is loud, right? When you constantly scan for reaction, feedback, external signals, you're going to drown out your inner guidance. So the most aligned decisions often don't come with applause, right? Or noise. Number 4, it drains your energy that should be building you. Caring too much is emotionally expensive. That energy could be used for creativity, healing, building, leading. Instead, it's spent managing perceptions, which you can never do. That's the lie there. You will never be able to control the way other people perceive you. It's just pointless. Protecting your energy is an act of leadership. Number 5, if it keeps you playing small, So big lives require discomfort. They require, pushing through, perseverance. And sometimes you're judged, right? If you care too much about being liked, you'll avoid being effective. Growth requires a tolerance for being misunderstood sometimes, because that's going to happen. So reframe to remember, not caring too much doesn't mean you don't care at all. It means you care on purpose. So you direct your care to where it matters. So you care more about what actually moves your life forward and what makes greater impact in the world. So one thing you can ask yourself is this concern helping me grow, or is it just keeping me safe in the same loop where I'm comfortable? And I think that's a great question to really ask yourself and think about. How much time am I spending on this, right? Is this contributing to my greater goals? And many people who watch this show, greater goals are optimum health. Tired of being tired, right? Tired of not owning optimum health. Your birthright is optimum health. And a lot of people who watch this show are tired of the lies, tired of the big pharma model, tired of all that stuff, right? All of the promises with no returns. And I think it's a good place to be, because it's a transition phase. We start caring more about our community. We start caring more about the results we see in our own lives. We get back to a merit-based society, right? Where people who do cool things that are, impactful and affect others in a positive way, that should be what we're all talking about, right? Look at how this person improved. Look at how that person improved. Those are the things that matter, right? Is how our quality of life is going. But if we keep chasing these stories around and, letting these influencers, which don't you just have a different kind of view on an influencer now? After hearing what Ryan Mata had to say about how this all works? I do. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of them before, but now I'm like, wow. So you just get up every day and, your mandate is to spread whatever is dictated for you to spread on social media, no matter, what's the follow-up there? Are you an influencer that puts out this information and then gets boots on the ground and actually starts helping people? I don't think so, right? They just kind of drop these bombs and then the next day they're on to the next bomb, right? That's not community. That's not helping. That's not making a positive impact or shaping culture in a way that we can be proud of here in our country. And those stories, I mean, they just keep a-coming, because that keeps you distracted. And when you're distracted, entertained, then you're not spending time turning inward. And that's an interesting thing, isn't it? If we truly want to shape culture in our own country, then we've got to take action, right? We've got to be purposeful, making an impact on other people's lives, as well as our own. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. I'm Tammy Cuthbert-Garcia. Stay tuned. Hour 2 is up next.
Are you ready to stay informed and inspired 24/7? Tune in to Naturally Inspired Radio anytime, anywhere. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com, or for the best mobile experience, download the Simple Radio app. Search for Naturally Inspired Radio, save it to your favorites, and click on the graphic to listen instantly. Catch live broadcasts, revisit past shows, dive into long-form podcast conversations, and discover rare, censored presentations by leading health experts. Plus, Explore documentaries uncovering the hidden truths of occult and esoteric history. Stay connected, stay inspired. Naturally Inspired Radio is always at your fingertips. Tune in now. For health questions or comments, text Tammy directly at 720-303-8868. NaturallyInspiredRadio.com.
Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
The information and other content provided on this radio show or in any linked materials is provided for informational purposes only, not intended and should not be construed as medical advice. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. And if you've missed the first hour, don't worry. You can always go back and listen to it, and you probably should. It is, I think, a very informative first hour that we've been talking about how stories make it in the position that when they're on social media, they're just like, they dominate those one story. There's one every day. You know, sometimes it carries over 2 or 3 days or whatever, but like there's influencer pushing it out after pushing it out. And now we kind of understand a little bit deeper even why and how that works. So if you didn't catch the first hour, you got to go back and listen to it. Super interesting on how, our consciousness is captured on a daily basis. Quite quite manipulative, really, is the way this whole game plays out. Anyway, I have an announcement because I got it wrong. I thought we were scheduled not to have a weekly wellness workshop tonight, but we are going to have it because we got some comments. People are like looking forward to it, and I think it'll be actually a great time to talk about goals. Right? So you can have some time. We'll probably talk about goals the beginning of January as well. But this one will be good because we can set you up for thinking about how, because, there's certain ways to build goals. I have a transformation system that I've put together that even works better, I feel like. So I think that's what we'll be talking about, and we'll be sharing in community about our goals and the things that we, are excited about, because everybody has to have a compelling future in order to achieve their optimum health goals. It's true. If you don't have a compelling future, like, why am I doing this? Why am I exercising? Why am I eating this way? Why am I doing all this? If you don't have a compelling future to be preparing for. So it's really important to have a compelling future. So maybe we'll talk about that and some other things tonight. So join us tonight on Zoom. If you are already a customer of Naturally Inspired, you'll get your Zoom link later today, and we'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock. I have a lot to cover between now and the bottom of the hour when Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. So you definitely want to stay plugged in for that interview. Dean's always great to talk to. So stay tuned for that. And I've got a lot to get to. So let's get to it, because I got to take a moment for your American culture. You know me, I've been talking about American culture because there are a lot of powers at play here that would love for you to think that you don't have a culture and that you don't have the right to claim your culture. And of course you do, and it's fantastic. And I found another thing that is like super cool about American culture. Check out this video.
It's 1949. World War II is over, America's booming, and everyone's driving these massive, sluggish boats with straight 8 engines that sound impressive, but move like molasses. Then out of nowhere, Oldsmobile drops this bomb called the Rocket 88, and suddenly everything changes. I'm talking about the engine that literally invented the muscle car formula 20 years before anyone even knew what a muscle car was. This is the story of how a 303 cubic inch V8 from Lansing, Michigan became the king of NASCAR, shocked the entire automotive industry, and created a blueprint that every muscle car would follow for decades. And trust me, this story's got more twists than a mountain.
The American muscle car. Oh, it's iconic, right? This is ours. This is America's vehicle. The American muscle car. I mean, it's awesome. It's loud. It's kind of a metaphor for America, don't you think? Don't you think? I couldn't help but share this picture with you because when I married Jason, he owned one of these. 1966 Impala is what he owned. I think that's almost exactly. It wasn't painted that nice. It wasn't painted that nice at the time. It was being restored. But you know what a fella will do when he gets married and he sold that bad boy. I know. Doesn't it just make you sick? I think we've seen it around a few times. And maybe one day we'll get it back. Long time ago now, 30 years ago, we had one of those. But that's a little piece of American culture, American muscle cars. And I think, like, who doesn't love American? I grew up in Canada, right? I grew up in Canada, and American muscle cars, I grew up around them because my uncle was huge into cars, and he had a Camaro, and when we were kids, I'd get in that Camaro and, he'd start that thing up and it would shake my heart. When you're a little kid and you're inside a vehicle like that, it's pretty exciting, right? Remember being little, me and my sister little in that Camaro and cruising downtown and going to the Dairy Queen in the Camaro. And that's all America. That all came from America. And even as a little girl in Canada, your culture permeated my country. And that's how powerful America is. And those are the things that we ought to be proud of, because they truly are cool. It's cool. It's rough. It's powerful. And it's just one more thing that defines your American culture. Don't ever let anybody tell you you don't have one. And step up and claim it, because if you don't, someone else will. All right, let's move on to some news, because like I said, we got to get through a lot here before Dean joins us. So did you see this story? Absolutely ridiculous. California adding folic acid. Check out this clip.
Effed up, and California's like, here, hold on, hold my beer. Because they are requiring tortillas to include an extra ingredient, okay? Do y'all want to know what that extra ingredient is? Folic acid. And when you add folic acid to tortillas, it becomes a public health catastrophe. And usually I don't buy into these headlines, but someone with MTHFR, the genetic mutation that cannot process folic acid, this is a huge, big freaking deal, because they're basically trying to wage war against children, targeting the poor and communities of color. Anyone who cannot process folic acid in their bloodstream, it just becomes toxic. So for the past, 30 years, doctors have said, oh, you need folic acid to have a healthy newborn. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit science and bullshit facts. It's all bullshit. So if you're now in California, stay away from the tortillas.
I picked this lady's video because I just thought she was funny. There was a lot of, experts talking about this and doctors or whatever. But this is a real person. This is a real person that is impacted by this. And she knows enough about her genetic mutation, the MTHFR mutation. And she's like, I can't believe this. They're putting this in the food. Yeah. It's almost like they're trying to kill you, It's almost like they don't care if you're healthy or not. So quick reminder here, the MTHFR mutation, okay? The MTHFR enzyme converts folate into its active form, 5-MTHF, which your body uses for detoxification, for neurotransmitter production, serotonin, dopamine, DNA repair, hormone metabolism, cardiovascular health. Common variants are what I call the C variant and the A variant, and these reduce enzyme efficiency by 30 to 70%. So what happens when MTHFR holders take folic acid? Folic acid is synthetic and must be converted before it can be used. With the MTHFR mutation, that conversion is impaired. Folic acid does not convert properly. It accumulates as unmetabolized folic acid in the blood, and the body cannot use it efficiently. It blocks real folate too. So crowds folate receptors, functional folate deficiency, even when intake is high. Neurological and mood effects many people experience: anxiety, irritability, brain fog, insomnia, depression, ADHD. Also, I'll add in there, these people are more susceptible to addiction. So alcohol and cigarettes and drugs as well. They're self-medicating. These are often mistaken for mental health issues when it's actually biochemical. So raises cardiovascular risk. Poor methylation means elevated homeocysteine, linked to increased risk of heart disease, stroke, pregnancy complications, impairs detox and hormone clearance, sluggish methylation, toxins plus estrogen not cleared properly. So it can worsen PMS for women. It can create estrogen dominance, chemical sensitivities, fatigue. Like, this is a real problem. And we've talked about it a ton here on the show. And think about that. California now wants to add that in to a food. What possibly? You know what they talk about always being about science? Follow the science then. Clearly, it's not about the science. It's never been about the science. It's pay to play. People pay for things. And Lord only knows what little scheme and racket has been cooked up to add folic acid into tortillas. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. But it's something. It's something. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. Next up, I want to talk about drones in Texas. I think we're going to go to break here, though, just in a minute. So I'll hold off on the video. But who voted for drones? Did you? Did you vote for drones? Did you vote for drones? Because, well, let me just tell you. I don't likey. I don't like this. I don't like this at all, you guys. And I'll show you what I mean when we come back. You're listening to Naturally Inspired Radio. Stay tuned.
Did you know that a single collagen supplement could support your heart health, help protect against EMF exposure, and reduce inflammation all at the same time? Our preferred foundational collagen not only supports radiant skin and joint mobility, but also promotes heart health, reduces inflammation, strengthens hair and nails, provides added protection against the effects of EMF exposure, and so much more. Our favorite collagen is super absorbable and easy to take. Just 1 tablespoon in the morning and another in the evening for maximum benefits. Here's what our listeners have to say.
This collagen is so easy to take, I've noticed a huge difference in my hair and nails after just a few weeks.
Since I started using Tammy's preferred collagen, my joints feel more flexible and my skin looks smoother.
Try it today at naturalinspiredраdio.com/collagen. When you purchase from Naturally Inspired, you get access to our group health coaching call and so much more. Go to naturalinspiredradio.com/collagen.
Just a couple more days to take advantage of the buy one, get one deals. Head on over to naturallyinspiredstore.com. Get yourself some aloe, some liquid minerals, or some of my favorite collagen. Take advantage today because time is running out. Naturallyinspiredstore.com. Okay, these drones, take a look at this quick video here.
Jeffrey, you can do it. Pave the way, put your back into it. Tell us why, show us how. Look at where you came from, look at you now. Zuckerberg and Gates and Buffett, amateurs can fucking suck it. Lives drink their blood. Come on, Jeff, get 'em!
Just listen to that, you guys. Bzzz. Amazon Prime Air drones deliver eligible packages, typically ones under about 5 pounds, directly to customers. Drones operate during daylight and favorable weather conditions. Customers often place a designated QR landing pad in their yard for deliveries. This is happening in Texas, San Antonio. Prime Air is also now live in Waco. Can you imagine, you guys? Can you imagine how many of these suckers are going to be flying around? Are we really, who voted for this? This is it's just a noise. That's one drone. Can you imagine? I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I don't know what we're going to do about it, but it's going to get incredibly annoying if every time you step outside your door, that's what you hear. Insane. Dean Lurick is coming up at the bottom of the hour here. This is an important story I'm going to ask him about. And I thought you might want to know. About this. Your burgers at McDonald's. Take a listen.
University of Nebraska took 1/4 pound patty that was headed to McDonald's from a big processing plant and ran some tests on it. They were testing for how many different strains of DNA they could find in that 1/4 pound. Can you guess how many they found? Over 1,300 different strains of DNA were found in that 1/4 pound patty. Now this is very concerning. Over at the shop, we process one animal, take all the whole muscle trim from that one animal, and make our ground beef. So you got over 1,300 different animals in 1/4 pound, or one animal in all those chubs of ground beef that we sell. Something you guys might want to consider next time you guys are buying beef.
Buy local, buy regenerative. You know, it doesn't even have to be local if it's regenerative, right? The biggest thing that you can do is understand that transparency is everything when it comes to ranching. And that's why I've always supported Pumpkin Creek Ranch, because these guys are a family operation and they really care about what they're doing there. They care about all the things they put into their land and how they curate their beef. And I love talking to Dean, and you're going to hear from him shortly here. But yeah, your little tiny McDonald's burger can contain up to 1,300 different strands of DNA. How many animals? You know? It is just incredible. So know your beef, know your source. Transparency is king. And I'm going to ask Dean about this when he comes on at the half past hour here. But I do want to get to our health topic today because it is about enzymes. And I've had a lot of questions about enzymes. I think I mentioned it on the show a couple of weeks back. We talked about enzymes, but I think there's a little bit more information that we need to fill in. And not only that, Jason has been driving me nuts with his enzymes because he can't believe how well they work. He's just commenting on it all the time. I just can't believe how well these work. You know, if you feel too full, whatever, you take a few enzymes, and it just really makes all the difference. So why do they matter? That's what I'm talking about today. Here are 7 benefits of taking enzymes, why they matter, why we need them, and why we stop making enough. Number 1, enzymes make digestion possible. So enzymes are the spark plugs of digestion. Without them, protein can't become amino acids. Fats can't become fatty acids. Carbs can't become a usable glucose. So taking enzymes helps your body break down food properly, not just pass it through. Number 2, we stop making enzymes as we age. Enzyme production naturally declines with age, especially around or after 30 to 40. This is because pancreatic function declines, chronic stress, nutrient deficiencies like zinc, magnesium, and B vitamins, very important. Long-term medication use like antacids or PPIs or antibiotics. The less enzymes equals more bloating, more acid reflux, more fatigue, and nutrient deficiency, which can lead to all kinds of expression and communication from the body. Number 3, modern food destroyed natural enzymes. So cooking, pasteurization, and processing destroy food-based enzymes. Historically, people ate raw or lightly cooked foods, certainly whole foods, right? But now we have this ultra-processed food category. And fermented foods were also very popular many, many years ago historically. And we don't eat as many of those these days. Today, everything's cooked, it's ultra processed, and it needs to be shelf stable for that centralized food supply. Bah! Supplemental enzymes replace what food no longer provides. And right now we have enzymes on buy one, get one. So head on over to the naturallyinspiredstore.com, and digestive enzymes are buy one, get one. They're cheap, cheap, cheap. They're cheap and they're great to have on hand. Instead of reaching for PPIs or Tums or whatever it is, just get some enzymes on hand. Like I was saying yesterday, it's really important that we build an arsenal in our house, that we have this stuff on hand. You know, it's not about taking everything every day. Right? It's not about that. It's about having solutions on hand so that you don't have to make choices that actually contribute to the decline of your health, which a lot of these so-called solutions, PPIs and whatnot, they do. They don't improve your health. They take away from your health. So keep that in mind. Everyone needs a wellness arsenal in their home. Number 4, enzymes reduce inflammation and immune burden. Undigested food particles irritate the gut lining. They trigger immune reactions. They contribute to food sensitivities. Enzymes help fully digest food. They reduce antigen exposure and they calm systemic inflammation. This is why enzymes often help joint pain. They help skin issues and autoimmunity. Number 5, enzymes improve nutrient absorption. You can eat the best food in the world, but if you can't digest it, you won't absorb it. So it's not so much you are what you eat as it is you are what you can absorb. Enzymes increase absorption of amino acids for muscle and immune system, fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, minerals like iron, zinc, magnesium. Enzymes make your food work harder for you, right? So that you have the expression of health. Enzymes support metabolic health. This is a big issue, right? Poor digestion stresses blood sugar regulation, liver detox pathways, hormone balance. Proper digestion stabilizes your glucose, reduces cravings, supports weight management. Many people think they have a metabolic problem when it's actually a digestive problem, right? That turns into a metabolic problem. So you've got to get to root cause. Enzymes free up the body's energy. Digesting food is energy expensive. When enzymes are low, the body steals energy from repair, immunity, and detox. And you may even feel a little tired after meals, or maybe you feel like brain fog increases. So supplementing with enzymes reduces digestive workload and free energy for healing and better focus. This is why people often say enzymes give them more energy without stimulation. So here's why we lose enzyme capacity. Number 1, aging, right? Just getting older and not making as many. Chronic stress, because that diverts resources away from your digestion. Ultra-processed diets, low stomach acid, right? Lack of salt. Medications, especially acid blockers, and of course, antibiotics. And then inflammation and gut damage as a whole. I think I was talking to somebody today, and we were just, discussing, the early onset of skin issues and some of the issues that she's been experiencing pretty much her whole life, early onset. And I just got the visual, that this could be an injection-related injury. A lot of times we our body does whatever it needs to do to adapt. It's so awesome. It will push through. But many of us are walking around vaccine injured, and we don't even know it, with things like allergies, asthma, leaky gut, right? And it's certainly many of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s and stuff. I mean, you went to the doctor in the 80s, you got antibiotics, how many rounds of antibiotics, right? You picked up some weird little skin thing or something, and your mom had you in the office and you were on antibiotics before you could blink an eye. That's just the way it was back then. And unfortunately, that's done a lot of damage to our gut. And we know, because we talk about gut health here on the show a ton, how crucial it is for longevity, gut health. So enzymes don't force the body, though. So that's important to remember. They don't force the body. They just assist it. Okay? They assist in digestion. They help you digest. They help you absorb. They reduce inflammation. They restore energy, and they support healing from the inside out. So they're a great addition to have around the house. Enzymes, some, especially while you're on a healing journey, these are something that you can take on the daily basis to help, bring things along. They're another tool that you should have in your arsenal. Up next, Dean Lerwick, owner, operator, family man, rancher, science nerd, regenerative farmer. He's all these things. You know him, you love him. Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch up next on Naturally Inspired Radio. See you in a minute.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back, everybody. As promised, Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch is joining us. So happy to have him here. Dean, welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, Tammy. Good to be back.
Yeah. How was your Christmas? How are things on the ranch?
Oh, it was a enjoyable time for us. Small family gathering. How are things on the ranch? We're running through weaning right now. That's always kind of a stressful time for us, but that's what's going on right now. Over the time since I started taking over the farm or taking over the ranching side of things, we went from a type of weaning where we'd go out and gather the calves up and haul them into the corral and keep them pinned up and let them bawl it out to now we
bawl it out. You mean cry? Did they cry?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's so hard when they cry.
Yeah. Well, and it was hard on them from a health standpoint. We'd have lots of pneumonias because they'd walk. Calves that are missing their moms tend to walk. And they will walk the fences, and then they're prone to spooking during the night. If a coyote walks through the pen or a raccoon walks through, they tend to take off looking for mom.
Yeah.
So we've moved or changed the way we do things now to where we actually pin the cows up and leave the calves out in the pasture or in the right next to them so that they kind of know where mom is and the cows don't ever spook. And so that cuts the stress down a lot on calves. And when it comes to sickness in the animals, stress is a main driving factor of it.
Oh, interesting. I don't think we correlate that with people, but I believe that is the same with people. We were talking yesterday on our show about shingles. And shingles can spike or increase your chance of getting them with stress. Yeah. So, I mean, that's really interesting that like ranchers know that stress is a big factor when it comes to illness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a stressful time, and we see the pneumonias go up. You've got the combination of dust and then calves that are wanting their moms, and that tends to start showing up. Some of the pneumonias, that's the major thing that we see during weaning. But We're about halfway through that, and expect to be done in the next week or two,
Okay.
and then we'll see where we go from there.
Awesome. Well, we were covering a story earlier today, and I wanted to get your take on it. So there was and at the University of Nebraska, actually, there was some researchers that took a McDonald's cheeseburger, the patty. Did you see this story?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
They took it to a laboratory, okay, and they had it tested. And Dean, there were over 1,300 strands of DNA in one McDonald's patty.
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Is that normal? Because that seems shocking to me. 1,300 different animals in one tiny McDonald's patty.
So, I mean, it is in a sense, especially if you're used to single source beef. That's, the smaller producers or direct to consumer, you're going to have a single animal used in your ground beef. What you have to understand is the type of system that we've got in place right now. The Tyson plant at Lexington that's closing down, that made the news here last month, and that was a big deal. Well, and it's a big blow to Lexington, but the thing that you would see there is when you've got a plant that is killing somewhere around 5,000 head per day, which is what that one was reported to be, that processing line, those carcasses, as they're manufactured or fabricated into the retail cuts or even the primals or subprimals that are shipped to the various grocery stores or restaurants, the trim off of those goes into one batch. And so when you've got 5,000 cattle being killed in a single day, you're going to have the same number of cattle going out the same day. And so the trim off of those animals goes into the same pot, so to speak, and it's ground up and made into the hamburger. That is why you would end up with that big of a number of different animals having product in that one patty.
And where are all these cows coming from? 5,000 head of cow. Are they all raised in the U.S.?
I don't know.
We don't know. We
don't
don't know.
There's a lot of them that come from Nebraska and surrounding states, but we do know that there's also cattle coming out of Canada. The Mexico cattle have been shut down because of the New World screw worm. So those imports are not presently going into them. But yeah,
What's
I would
that?
guess
The New World screw worm. What is that, and what does it
that's
do to cattle?
so I'm not an expert on that, but it is a fly larva that will, my understanding is it causes some necrotic flesh as it eats through the animal. It's primarily comes up from the south. Has a hard time surviving in places like Nebraska with our winters and points further north, but they're trying to keep it out of the U.S. by shutting down imports of Mexican cattle.
Got it. Talk a little bit about your operation at Pumpkin Creek. Like, this is the operation in the industrialized model where they're doing 5,000 head of cattle a day coming from, we don't really know for sure, right? And all of this, how, what are these cows in the industrial realm eating? We don't really know, do we? I mean, corn fed.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about in general, the primary diet that these cattle are going to be finished on is going to be corn based. You will have a range of different products used, but they will almost all be corn based. The ration will be corn based, and then it will be it'll have some alfalfa and some other protein sources. But most of the finishing diets in the U.S. in conventionally produced cattle are going to be a corn silage or corn stalks ground. They'll put some corn syrup back on them. They will include distiller's grains in those, which is the byproduct of ethanol production. Once they use the corn, grind it, and they make the ethanol from it, then they're left with a higher protein product that's called distiller's grains. That is also used. These diets that these cattle are being fed are all they're balanced by a nutritionist so that the cattle can gain as much weight in as quick as time as possible, because most conventional feedlots are they're not making a lot per head. It's a margin game, and so you want to run as many cattle through in as short a time as possible as you can, and that's how you make your money.
Got it. So what do you do at Pumpkin Ranch that is different, Pumpkin Creek Ranch?
So what we're doing, most of the cattle that we feed are actually going to be females. They are the cattle that we give all of our heifers that we raise on the ranch. Every animal except the bulls that we use to breed the cows are born and raised on our ranch. We don't bring in any other animals other than our breeding bulls. That's the only cattle that we bring in. So all of our cows are raised on the ranch from heifer calves. When we start selecting the heifers that are going to stay on our ranch as mother cows, we will give all of our heifers an opportunity to get bred in a short period of time, 30 days. That's all the longer our breeding period is. And then what doesn't get bred in that period of time, we move over into our finishing program. And so those are the main animals. We will finish a few steers, but most of them that are going into into the beef program are heifers, 2 and 3 year old animals. So those animals will typically run on grass through the summer when they're getting bred, and then through that next winter they'll run on native range, and then we will pull them into the feedlot, and our ration is based upon alfalfa and oats and peas silage, and then barley with a little bit of flax. That's it. It's really that simple. We have essentially what is a 4 or 5 product ration, and we have worked with a nutritionist to try to get that as balanced as possible. We don't want any nutritional deficiencies, because that translates into nutritional deficiencies in the beef.
Right. I'm curious about the flax. Is that for the omegas that you're giving him that, or? Yeah.
So the flax diet included in the diet, there was some research done at K-State that showed that if you would include flax at less up to 5% of the diet by weight, that you could shift the omega-3 to omega-6 ratios substantially. And it also had some finishing effects, like they would end up with a higher quality finish, more marbling in the meat. But the main thing was shifting that ratio. You couldn't go more than about 5%, because if flax will tend to, if you get too high, it'll tend to give the beef almost a fishy flavor. And so you're limited. Yeah. If you get, some of the research showed that if they got up over 8% of the diet, that it would tend to taste or smell like fish.
That's so interesting to me, really. I want to talk about that after we come back from the break, why it matters what cattle eat. Okay. I think people need to understand that really does matter, what they're eating when it comes to our health and whatnot. I also want to talk a little bit about your geographical location and what that means in terms of regenerative farming, so that people are aware. There's a lot more stuff coming out with this administration. about regenerative farming, and I'm a little concerned about the labeling and all that stuff. So I think we want to get ahead of it with the public so that they understand how important regenerative farming is, but also not that we want to hand the whole label over to the government to determine and why that's so important. So those are a couple of things that I want to talk about when we come back from the break here in a minute. But how many babies did you get this season?
Well, so we actually had to lease out about 90 head of cattle just to get them off of our operation for the summer because we were so short of grass. We're dealing with a pretty substantial multi-year drought. I think we're in year 5 or 6 of this drought. And so we were short. We had to get them out of here before they started calving in May. And so we actually reduced our numbers down about 90 head. So we're somewhere around 300 head of calves this year.
That's great, but I like the small batch, because that tells me you guys are putting a lot of care into what you're doing as well. I do want to ask you about weather too, because I was wondering if you were concerned about that. Everybody stay tuned. This is Dean Lerwick with Pumpkin Creek Ranch. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. pumpkincreekranchco.com. We'll be right back with Dean Lerwick.
Did you know 80% of beef consumed in the U.S. comes from 4 major corporations, much of it being imported or processed with additives? Want real beef from a real farm? Pumpkin Creek Ranch does things the right way. Local, grass-fed, dry-aged beef with no additives, no shortcuts, just honest quality.
Pumpkin Creek Ranch beef is the real deal. I love knowing exactly where my meat comes from. No additives, no nonsense, just honest quality beef.
Best beef I've ever had. You can taste the difference. Rich, tender, and packed with real flavor. Plus, supporting a local ranch makes it even better.
From pasture to plate, they raise their cattle with care, so you can get rich, natural flavor that only real ranching can provide. Stock your freezer with premium beef you can trust. Visit pumpkincreekranchco.com or call 970-658-0176.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Naturally Inspired Radio, and we're talking to Dean Lerwick from Pumpkin Creek Ranch. You can take a look at all their different cuts of meat at pumpkincreekranchco.com. Welcome back to Naturally Inspired Radio, Dean. I was going to ask you about this regulation, or, this. We're headed. I feel that we're headed towards a regulation of regenerative. We already have an organic label, right? And now I'm like, okay, they're gonna start pushing this regenerative label. The idea and the practice of regenerative, I'm all for. I'm concerned that the government will try to regulate this label, and I'm just concerned that people don't understand it enough, and they don't even know what they're looking for. And how to, these standards, how that may impact small ranchers, even you guys, because geographical location matters, doesn't it, when it comes to ranching?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's that's always a big issue when the government gets involved in practices and trying to promote certain end results. It usually ends up with winners and losers being chosen by the government arbitrarily, and it's not necessarily what's good for the environment, what's good for the individual consumer, and certainly what's good for the individual that's producing the animals or raising the crops or whatever. The regenerative, I have a love-hate relationship with social media.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a good way to get your message out. But especially when you're putting out content, you have to have something to say day in and day out. And what you end up doing is you promote a lot of stuff. If you're not careful and if you're not really rooted in this, you end up promoting stuff that may not necessarily be true. And I'm all for what RFK Jr. is doing in cleaning up our food supply. But there was just a big piece and I have no idea when he said it, but there was a big piece that made its way around social media recently about him talking about glyphosate in grains. And that was a problem because that whole piece was purported to be a current position of his. Whether it is or it isn't, I don't know, because I could never figure out when he had supposedly said it, was incorrect. It was factually wrong about the glyphosate being used as a desiccation for wheat, leading to contamination of our bread. It displayed a complete lack of understanding about the various types of wheat and what they're used for and where they're grown.
Oh my gosh, you're going to have to explain this because I think I may have covered that. So this is not true?
No,
Like,
no,
oh
it's
my
not.
gosh. Okay.
Well, I'm
please
sorry to rain on you.
explain. No, I don't want it to be true. This is good news if there isn't glyphosate in our grains. So please.
So 2000, the way, or the video clip I saw him talking about was in 2006. People learned that glyphosate could be used to desiccate grain.
Yes.
And so that was when we saw the gluten intolerance rise.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that was the piece that I saw. And so I'm trying to figure out, when did he say this? Because what we saw, to whatever degree there is contamination of glyphosate in the food supply, my thinking on it, understanding the way that it is handled in the plant, is it is most likely in the sugars, in the sweeteners that we're using. That is the most likely a place for it. The wheat problem, or the wheat issue that he was talking about, so there's several different classifications of wheat. There is hard red winter wheat, hard red spring wheat. There are hard white wheats. There are soft wheats, soft red, soft whites. And then there is another classification called durum. Now, the hard red winter wheat is the primary bread wheat that we use. Most of the hard red winter wheat is raised in the central and southern high plains. Those wheats are ripened during the months of, usually wheat harvest starts in Texas in May, and it moves north through the summer. And so by the time it gets to Nebraska, it's usually late June, early July. All of that wheat is naturally ripened. It dries down without needing any desiccation. So nobody in the central or southern high plains is using glyphosate to desiccate wheat. It doesn't happen. Now, there may be some of that being done in Canada, or the northern plains, which would be the spring wheats, and in the durum production. I can't speak to that because that's essentially a completely different wheat production than what we are doing here in the high plains. But nobody's using glyphosate to desiccate the hard red winter wheats that are primarily used in the breads in the U.S. So whatever is causing gluten intolerance, if it is in fact glyphosate, it would be coming in on the sugars that are used to sweeten the bread. It would not be the wheat itself.
Well, that is so interesting because it's hard to parse apart the sugar and the wheat because there's so many processed foods that have both in them. So that's really interesting. What about GMO seed? Because we clearly have an issue where people can travel abroad to Europe and eat pasta and bread. Like everybody knows somebody, or they've experienced them themselves, that when they travel abroad, they don't have the problem. So could it be GMO?
It could be. But again, hard red winter wheat, there is one wheat that I am aware of, one variety. It's not a different species. It's a hard red winter wheat. There's one variety that I'm aware of there's one that I'm aware of currently that is being developed and has a herbicide resistance, but it isn't glyphosate. There is no glyphosate resistant wheat currently on the market.
Right.
There are a couple. There's, and I can't even say the chemical name right now, the generic name. There was one that was a Beyond herbicide, and another one, the wheat that is currently on the market, it's not glyphosate resistant, it's coaxium wheat. It's a herbicide resistant wheat, but they are not a widespread used. It's a very small part of the market for the hard reds. But I think you probably have to look to the food additives and the sweeteners. So for glyphosate resistant crops, there's corn, there's soybeans, there's sugar beets, and alfalfa. There's some alfalfa that are glyphosate resistant. Those are the main ones. Not saying that I haven't missed some, but those are the main ones. There is no glyphosate resistant wheat. Okay. So chemical residues in the wheat themselves, if there were chemical residues, it would be dicamba or maybe 2,4-D, because those, the only thing that wheat is going to be sprayed with that might confer some chemical residues would be for broadleaf weeds within the wheat crop. Because other than those two that I told you about, there isn't a widespread usage of chemical or GMO wheats. Wheat doesn't lend itself to make it easy to put those various genes in through genetic manipulation. That's
interesting.
Wheat has been a very difficult one to hybridize.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it's a real problem though, like this high carbohydrate diet. So it's interesting. Yeah. And do you think it could be that something like glyphosate has penetrated our soils?
Well, I mean, it depends on how heavily it's used. I don't think, and this gets to the regeneration thing.
Right.
The most effective remediator of chemical contamination of the soils is biology. And so we are regenerative in the sense that we have cut our chemical usage. We haven't eliminated it. We've reduced our fertility, added fertility almost to zero. To whatever extent we are using various additives into our system, they're primarily biological, and then some micronutrient seed drenches, organic type seed drenches that would support the crop as it's getting established and promote biological activity within the seed or within the plant itself. Those various things that we're looking at for chemical remediation though is bacteria. And so I've tested our soils because no-till continuous crop in the central high plains where we're located, you're going to use chemistry to replace tillage. That's what you do to kill the weeds. And so I went out to the fields that we had the longest track record of production in and tested them for glyphosate residues. There weren't any. There was a little bit of the metabolite so when glyphosate is broken down, it breaks down into a couple of different compounds, but the primary one that it breaks down is AMPA. And I'm not even going to try to tell you what that chemical name is because I can't remember it. But it breaks down to AMPA, and then that is further broken down into its various components that are then considered inert. But it's bacteria that does that. And so when I tested our soils, we were in the middle of a drought. I found a little bit of AMPA. And so the things that speed biology or biological breakdown of these various chemicals are things like moisture and an active biology. Well, if you don't have any moisture, the biology may still be there, but it's not going to be very active. So it's not going to be effectively breaking these chemicals down. But as soon as you start getting a little bit of moisture, they go to work. Like you think of a oil spill. What do they do to remediate oil spills? They add biology. and
Yeah.
bacteria. That's the primary way to deal with it. And so the same is true for chemistry. You just can't overwhelm the system. And that's what, if we have contaminations, that's what we're doing. We're overwhelming that biological system, and we're overloading it to the point that they can't remediate the pollution or the contamination.
So what you're
that's where
telling me is we're already getting it wrong. We haven't even we haven't even created the label yet, Dean, and it's already going south here. We need more advocacy when it comes to regenerative farming. We need ranchers to have a voice right there in Washington. Are you hopeful for that type of thing before they roll out? Because I just can see it, like this label coming, and I'm concerned. We're already losing farmers at a crazy rate.
Yeah. To whatever degree they do it, I want them to facilitate a relationship between the producer and the consumer. That's the most effective way.
Yeah. Everybody visit pumpkincreekranchco.com. Get